Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a super important topic that affects every Filipino: judicial review. What is it? How does it work? And how does the Supreme Court use this power? Let's break it down in the next 5 minutes. So, what exactly is judicial review? In simple terms, it's the power of the courts, especially the Supreme Court, to determine if a law, a government action, or even a treaty is in line with the Constitution. If it's not, the court can declare it unconstitutional and therefore invalid. Think of the Supreme Court as the ultimate referee, making sure everyone in government plays by the rules set in our Constitution. This power comes directly from Section 1, Article 8 of the 1987 Constitution. It gives the judiciary the duty to settle actual controversies and to determine if there has been a grave abuse of discretion, amounting to lack or excessive jurisdiction on the part of any branch of government. That last part is key, and we'll get back to it. So, how does the process actually start? It's not like the justices just wake up and decide to review a law. A case has to be brought to them. First, there must be an actual case or controversy. This means a real conflict of legal rights, not just a hypothetical question. Someone must have been directly harmed or is about to be harmed by the law or action in question. This person is said to have locus standi, or legal standing to sue. Second, the constitutional question must be raised at the earliest possible opportunity. You can't just bring it up randomly. It has to be a central part of the case from the get-go. And third, the constitutional question must be the very lis moda of the case, meaning the decision on the Constitution's meaning is absolutely necessary to resolve the case. The court will try to solve the problem in other ways first, if it can. Once these conditions are met, a petition is filed with the Supreme Court. The parties involved, like the government agency that passed the rule and the person challenging it, will submit their arguments. The court might hold oral arguments where lawyers from both sides present their case and answer tough questions from the justices. After all the deliberation, the justices vote, and a decision is made. This decision, called a ponencia, becomes part of our country's laws. Now, let's talk about a tricky area: the political question. Before the 1987 Constitution, the court would often refuse to hear cases that were considered political questions. These were issues that the court believed were better left to the other branches of government to decide, like matters of policy or national security. The idea was to respect the separation of powers, but the 1987 Constitution changed the game. Remember that phrase, grave abuse of discretion? That clause was specifically added to give the court the power to step in, even on issues that seem political, as long as it can be shown that another government branch acted with grave abuse of discretion. This means they acted in a capricious, whimsical, or arbitrary manner. So today, the Supreme Court doesn't just ask, is this a political question? Instead, it asks, did another branch of government gravely abuse its power? If the answer is yes, the court can and will intervene. Let us look at a recent example to see this in action: the Anti-Terrorism Act of 2020. Shortly after it was signed into law, numerous petitions, over 30 of them, were filed with the Supreme Court. The petitioners argued that several provisions of the law were unconstitutional because they were too vague and could violate fundamental rights like freedom of speech and expression. Here, the petitioners claimed that Congress and the President, in creating and passing the law, gravely abused their discretion. The government, on the other hand, argued that the law was a necessary political and policy decision to address terrorism. This was a classic clash. The Supreme Court had to balance national security concerns with the protection of civil liberties. After lengthy deliberations and oral arguments, the court in late 2021 declared two parts of the law unconstitutional. Specifically, it struck down a part that made protest or advocacy a crime if it was deemed to have an intent to cause death or serious physical harm, finding it overly broad. It also struck down a provision that would allow the Anti-Terror Council to adopt a foreign terrorist designation automatically. In this case, the Supreme Court exercised its power of judicial review to check the actions of the legislative and executive branches. It didn't throw out the whole law, but it carefully examined it and removed the parts it found were inconsistent with the Constitution, even though the subject matter, terrorism, is a highly political issue. And that's judicial review in a nutshell. It's a powerful tool that serves as a vital check and balance in our democracy, ensuring that no one is above the Constitution. It's our ultimate safeguard for our rights and freedoms. I hope this explanation was clear and helpful. If you learned something new, please hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe for more content about Philippine law and society. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.